Alright, that's good, that's good. Oh boy, here we go. I was, a little bit of interesting trivia going on right here. I was recording this video, I was recording the audio here in Audacity, and something bad happened. The fucking, I clicked out of Audacity, and I ended up fucking deleting the hour-long audio I made for this video, so I'm actually going back and redoing it now. Because Shadowplay for some reason doesn't pick up my voice. So that really fucking sucks. But what can you do, you know? Useless Shadowplay. Anyway, I'm making a bit of a filler video here today. This isn't really the reason I'm making it is because I'm behind on one of my video uploads, and I want to at least get a video out every month, whether it's on the main or second account. This one's on the second account. It's just kind of a silly little filler video, just to make sure I kind of hit that quota of at least one video like every month. So I'm going to be ranking my personal picks for my favorite Dead Rising bosses. There's about over 50 of them here. I'm going to be ranking them based on what I think about them. S rank is perfect. They have no flaws at all, or very, very minor ones. A rank, they're good, but they have a minor flaw that kind of holds them back a bit. B, they're good. They have maybe 2 minor flaws or a pretty decent one, but they're still good. C is average. Nothing too great, but not really bad either. D is below. Anything, characters that I just really don't like, whether it's their fights, how they fight, or their character or whatever. And F rank is that they're just awful. Just terrible. They're judged based on their rewards, what you get for killing them, their intros, their outros, their character personality, their fighting styles, their music themes, and their importance or uniqueness compared to the other ones in that game. So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to try to leave it to about just a sentence or two because there's so fucking many of them here. So I'm going to have to breeze through these. Let's start with the easiest one. Adam the Clown. Adam is S rank. The weapon he drops is the mini chainsaw, one of the best weapons in the game. Its durability is ridiculous if you have all 3 books. The survivor he gives you, Greg, whenever you defeat him, he gives you the secret passage from Wonderland to Paradise Plaza, which means you can skip Leisure Park and avoid the Convicts, or just make it so much easier to escort survivors to the safe room, especially if you're doing the Saint achievement. His boss theme is a very unique little remix that's going on. His death scene is very graphic, and he's voice acting, and his character is just, this dude is perfect. He's so perfect that they brought him back in one of the stupid-ass Dead Rising 4 DLCs. His main theme is even used for Frank's theme in whenever he's in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is really cool. S rank for him. The next character we have is Joe. Joe is pretty standard. It's pretty average when it comes to most of the bosses, but her big uniqueness that really sets her apart is that she has a very long scoop timer. But there's a catch. If you get there whenever it's in the red, you only get 1 survivor. But if you make it there whenever, like as soon as you get it, you get 4 female survivors. The longer you take to get started on her scoop, the more survivors she kills. She has 4 female survivors taken hostage. Her fighting style is she charges at you. She just swings her nightstick, or she tries to stun you with her taser or stomp on you. She has a pistol, which doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. Her boss theme is pretty nice. Feel Like Hell Again is a really good song. I really like it. It's a very underappreciated song because usually you'll kill her very quickly compared to most of the other bosses. So she's a fast kill. She just falls over and dies. She doesn't have a really massive death to really go around. She's average. She deserves the C rank. Next is Shawn, the cult leader of the Raincoat Cult. He has a pretty intimidating presence throughout the main game. He's not part of the story, he's optional, but you're definitely going to run into him at once. And he leaves a bunch of his cultists, his followers, around. They're enemies that you can fight throughout the game. They're not on this tier list, by the way, just so people understand. But for him himself, he's one of the toughest bosses in the whole game. He's one of the hardest. He has very high health for his boss. He has 4,000. By comparison, Adam, I think, only has 2,000, and I think Joe has like 3. He has 4,000. He's also the fastest moving of all the bosses. His ceremonial sword deals a shitload of damage. He chases you everywhere. He's in the Movie Land Theater, by the way. A very small area. It's he's a pretty difficult boss. It's very hard to get health back. His death, he has a mannequin in the middle of the room and it falls into him because it has a sword in the middle of it and it stabs him in the eye and he bleeds out and dies. His reward, he drops the mind or brainwashing book, which makes it much easier to escort survivors because they don't get scared or fall over or cry, and they're more willing to attack zombies, which makes it much easier to escort. The ceremonial sword gives a lot of it's a pretty good weapon. It's pretty good. And the survivors he drops you aren't super hard to escort, but he also drops Cher. And if you bring her to the safe room and you have multiple survivors in the room that she's occupied, she'll give you the most erotic pictures that you can take. I mean, I'm talking some of these can be up to like 16,000 pp. And that's a really nice reward for, saving her and defeating this annoying ass boss. But I mean, he is a fun boss to fight. He's hard, he's challenging, his theme is awesome. It's Bored Again, it's a really good song. Where does he belong in the rank? I'm going to put him in A rank. He really deserves it. He's not perfect, but he's really good. The next one is Paul. Paul is a very fast-moving teenager. He fights with Molotovs, pipe bombs, and RC car bombs. He's pretty annoying, but if you can power through... If you can just finish him off in the store he's at. He's in Wonderland in one of the women's clothing stores. He's pretty easy. He just runs around a lot and taunts. He's not very hard to take out at all. Whenever you defeat him, one of his Molotovs will fall onto his crotch and burn the shit out of him, and you get a very nice and easy photo op moment. Very nice, huge boost of prestige points. And if you extinguish the flames with the extinguisher. I'm thinking of the extinguisher in Team Fortress 2. I'm sorry. If you do all that and you bring him back to the safe house, he's the first savable psychopath in the whole game, in like the whole series, and he's the only one in the original. He'll if you save him and you get him back there, he'll give you Molotovs as a gift. The Molotovs are pretty fun little toys to play with, but you get them very late. This is one of the last bosses, or at least the last optional boss in the whole game. And the Molotovs just don't really have a whole lot of stuff to go around. But I mean, it's a very nice gift that he gives you, and they're completely unlimited as long as you have space in your inventory. With all this in mind, C rank is definitely where he belongs. Otherwise, if he didn't give you Molotovs, he'd just be in D rank. Next is the Hall family. It's 3 snipers it's 3 guys armed with hunting rifles who are shooting at you in the entrance plaza. They're not very hard to take out. They only have like 1,000 health each. But some of them are more accurate than others. The father is the most accurate, while Thomas is the least accurate, and Jack is in the middle. They don't have any real music to go around. It's just the mall music playing. They're pretty okay. They're pretty average. As far as rewards go, they just give you like 3 hunting rifles and Wayne, who's actually a really easy survivor to save, who is in the makeup store on the 2nd floor up the escalator. Pretty alright boss. C rank is definitely where they belong. The next one is the Convicts. The Convicts are always one of the most feared of all the psychopaths in the whole game. They're not even technically counted as psychopaths. At least not really. They're still referred to as psychopaths whenever you kill them. They'll say psychopath defeated, but they're technically not. They're not involved in the killing psychopath achievements or whatever. So, yeah. And out of all the other bosses here on this entire video, they're the only ones who respawn. Their driving is terrible because they're AI. They just bump into stuff. But if you draw their aggro, they will focus you the entire time, and they will be a pain in the ass, and you will have to kill them. The guy on the back is the hardest one to kill, and if you take him out, the rest of this fight's like really easy peasy. If you kill all of them and get into their car, they'll give you the carjacker achievement along with the prison garb for Frank to wear. If you kill the guy in the back, you don't have to kill, for this reward, you only have to kill the guy in the back. You can take the heavy machine gun off the back of their Humvee, and it's a very good weapon. And it's very good, and it's very great that they respawn. In terms of difficulty, depending on the items you have, they can be pretty difficult. But, I mean, for me, they're pretty B. I definitely hate fighting these guys, but the reward's great. They're nice, hard, and challenging, but nowhere else higher. Isabel, you fight her outside of the food court. She fights on the motorcycle, and she's very fast. She is the fastest boss in the whole game because she's on a motorcycle. She also fights with a pistol. If you get up on certain ledges, she'll just shoot at you, which doesn't deal a whole lot of damage, so that's not really something to worry about. She's one of the story missions. You have to kill her to advance the story. If you leave the area where you fight her at, then the fight ends, she leaves, and you fail the game. In terms of how she attacks, the motorcycle is very weird. It bounces all over. It's like a pinball that just bounces everywhere whenever you try to fight her. She's a pain in the ass to fight with melee weapons, but I mean, with guns, she doesn't have a whole lot of health. She doesn't really get a higher rank other than B. I think that's pretty fitting. It's an alright fight. The next one is Steven. He's the store manager. There's an incident in the game where one of the characters gets injured, and you have to go to the food store and the pharmacy to go get the medicine. Steven fights with the weapons cart, which is just a buggy full of a bunch of different tools and weapons. And he pushes it around just like a normal buggy. And he will try to run you over. If you hop on the aisles in the store, he'll shoot at you with a shotgun, which will knock you back. His fight's in the food store, so it's very easy to get health back whenever you fight him. He's not a very hard fight. There's almost no zombies in there. There are a few that spawn, but other than that, he's pretty all right. His death is really funny. It's just something I wanted to kind of mention real quick. And his boss theme is also one of the more recognizable ones. I like this guy. He's just a screamer. I think is really funny. Just like a screamer, A rank. A for ah. I like this guy. I really like this guy. But he's not perfect because he's just kind of too easy. Kent is the rival photographer to Frank. He's very arrogant and very stuck up. You have to do a whole lot of things in order to really get to his boss fight, and it goes one of two ways. You have to pass his. You have to meet him in Colombian Roastmasters on the first day. He's one of the first cases or scoops that you get. You have to pass his little trial, taking pictures. Then you have to take a very erotic picture and give it to him on the next day. Usually just take a picture of Jesse during a medicine run is probably the easiest one you can get. After you do that, then you meet him on the third day, and he has a hostage. He has a hostage, and he wants to get a picture of how zombiehood works in order to one-up Frank. Frank stops him and he gets pissed and you fight him. The other way this fight goes is that if Frank is too late by like an hour in real time, an hour like in game time, excuse me. Like an hour in in-game time, Kent will take Frank hostage and strip him of all his weapons and clothes, and you'll have to fight him in a very small area, like one of the fountains in Paradise Plaza. And you can't really leave that area until you beat him, so you have to either use your bare hands or the park benches or potted plants to defeat him. He's probably one of the worst fighters in the game. He's pretty much all bark and no bite. The only thing that really you have to watch out for is his jump kick. His jump kick can deal anywhere between 2 to I think 4 blocks of damage, which is ridiculous. And he can hit you multiple times. There's no real limit to how many jump kicks he can do. He can do one right after the other. He has a dodge roll. His pistol doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. He can also charge at you with a weird tackling move, which is just kind of annoying. But yeah, he's a very interesting guy. The only other thing that's worth mentioning about him is that he's very important for Frank's development as the game goes by. If you played the first game, you understand this is the moment that really makes Frank know just how. It's weird to explain. I don't have a whole lot of time to explain it. So with his rank, he gets A rank. I really like this guy. The next dude we have is Cletus. Cletus, the gun store owner. You find him in his gun shack. He's behind the counter. He's one of the harder. He's definitely one of the hardest bosses in the whole game. His shotgun, all the shotguns, especially from Steven, deal a lot of knockback, and they deal quite a bit of damage. But if you can power through and just rush him, you can attack him over the counter and kill him. He doesn't have a whole lot of health. He's actually not too hard, but there are some things that really bug me in his fight. So, for example, in his fight, he has these displays that you're supposed to stand behind and then peek out and shoot at him. But the way the game works is that if you're standing on the second row close to where you start the fight at, he'll shoot through it and hit you, which is always perplexing. However, if you get into the ones that's like in front of him, he'll have a harder time actually hitting you and he won't really be able to shoot through it. It's just very, very weird. He's a hard boss. His death is kind of funny and ironic and sad at the same time. Where he belongs, though, I'd have to say he probably belongs in A rank. He's pretty challenging, but I mean, he's not too bad. He's pretty fun. Next is Larry. Larry's the final boss of the 72-hour mode. He's not too hard. He has the most health of all the other bosses in the game. He has 5,000. For comparison's sake, the Hall family only have 1,000 each. The Convicts have 1,000 each. Isabel, I think, has 2,000. Joe, I think, has 3. Adam has 2. And I mentioned that the fucking old dude over here, Shawn, has like 4,000. He's got 5,000. And you have to fight him in a very short amount of time. It's not very long. Carlito is about... In the story, Carlito is going to be fed into the meat grinder because of all the stuff that happens in the main story. And you have to get him back from Larry. You have to fight Larry very quickly, or else Carlito will die in the meat grinder. And just so people know, the time that you have left in the case before it ends is not how much time you have left in the fight. You only have about 3 minutes or so to fight this guy, and depending on your level and your weaponry, it's going to be very hard to take this guy out. But honestly, in terms of where he belongs, he just belongs in C rank. His theme's pretty good, but that's just not a whole lot enough to make him any different from average. Carlito's the main bad guy in the whole game. I'm including all 3 fights. All 3 times you have to or don't have to fight him. The first time you fight him in the food court on the balconies. He's armed with a P90. He's kind of annoying, but he's not super hard. He doesn't have a whole lot of health. Pretty easy to take out. His second fight is in the entrance plaza, and he fights with an anti-material rifle, just a big sniper rifle. And he does a lot of knockback with it, and it does like a good 2 blocks of health every time. It's a pretty challenging boss. The third fight you fight him in is that he loads bombs in the maintenance tunnel, and he wants to blow up the mall because he's cornered. His character, he's fucking terrifying. He's very unpredictable in terms of the game's story. I really like this guy a lot. In terms of where he belongs in the rank, I have to say he belongs in just S rank. His theme's awesome. His character is awesome. I love this guy. And now we're going to go into the other one I love, Cliff Hudson. Cliff does not have a whole lot of health, but he's pretty fast, and his attacks, you can't really trade blows with him. Due to how his AI works, he's very difficult to trade blows with. He doesn't have a whole lot of health. And, I mean, it's just kind of, it's hard. His theme is awesome. His theme song is amazing. In terms of rewards he gives you his machete, which is a good replacement for the mini chainsaw if you don't have it. And he also gives you a store key that gives you to the survivors he has hostage in the room right next to it. So you get those 3 people who just so happen to be some of the dumbest survivors in the whole game. But you also have 3 magazines in that store. You have the hand-to-hand combat book. You have the survival book, which doubles the amount of health you get from food items, and another book, but I forget what it does, and I don't really care. This dude's one of my favorites. There's his backstory, why he's doing it, and why he's a Vietnam War veteran, and he snaps when he hears the screams of his dying daughter as she's being eaten alive. He's definitely, his impact is that he shows that not every psychopath in the Dead Rising, or at least in Dead Rising 1, is just like an asshole for the sake of being an asshole. Like, they're not, some of these people are just normal people that you could just run into on the street. And I really like that. And it really shows. So, yeah, he's awesome. So, I'm going to skip this guy. I'm going to skip him. I'm going to talk about one that's a little more off color. It's the helicopter. Now, the helicopter doesn't really count in terms of Psychopath, though, but I'm including it anyway because, I mean, the Dead Rising wiki labels it, and some people might argue, so, I mean, are you really going to complain? It replaces the Convicts. During overtime mode, whenever the special forces arrive to wipe out all the zombies at Willamette. It flies around Leisure Park. It shoots a lot of bullets. It fires missiles. It's hard to destroy. If you manage to take it out, you have to shoot it at its tail. But because of how Dead Rising's bullets work in game, they're not hit scan. They're actual projectiles. Like, they actually have to travel. Depending on the weapon you're using, usually if you use the machine guns, you can take it out. But you have to have it close enough to you because all the guns, except for the sniper rifle, all have max range. So if you shoot it at a certain range and it travels, the bullet's not going to do anything when it hits. It'll just disappear. It's very weird. But anyway, yeah, this fight doesn't really give you much in terms of rewards. I mean, there's really no other reward besides a decent little PP bonus and bragging rights. You get a cosmetic item, but it doesn't really do anything else. So just D rank. It's kind of fun to fight it, though. I mean, most of these guys give you pretty good rewards. Like, Cletus gives you the gun store, gives you access to the fucking gun store. Shawn drops the brainwash book. The weapons cart's a fun little toy to use. Isabella's motorbike's awesome. The Convicts gun's amazing. The Photography 2 book is really good and some easy escort PP. The the meat cleaver, I didn't actually mention with Larry yet. But it's a decent little weapon, but you don't really get to use it on any bosses because he's the last one in the main game. So, just nothing really worth in terms of rewards for this, so just kind of D rank. So the last guy, for now, of this video is Brock. You fight Brock in overtime mode. His first phase is the tank, and the way you have to take it out is that you have to shoot the lights on the tank he's driving. After that, he rams the Humvee that Isabel and Frank are driving because of how the story thing goes. I don't want to really go into depth about the story, but because it'd take too long. But Frank and Brock have a fist fight on the tank. You have no weapons. Your inventory is completely wiped. Your health is restored, but all your items are completely gone, except your clothes. And you have to fight him with barehanded moves. Out of all the bosses in this entire game, Brock is the only one with an instant kill. If he grabs Frank, he'll snap Frank's neck. He'll snap Frank's neck if you don't wiggle out fast enough. He blocks almost all of your attacks, but he doesn't have a whole lot of health himself. He only has about 1,000 HP. Just 1,000. Which, I mean, if he had like 5,000, this would be a ridiculously long and tiresome fight. And he blocks like most of your attacks anyway, so it's just kind of, yeah. Where he goes, though, I'd have to say he definitely belongs in B rank. B for Brock, you know. And that's where I'm going to wrap this up for today. I'm going to hop back on this tier list and maybe do some changes or maybe some reworks to this. But for the most part, though, I'm sorry this isn't really like a standard video I wanted to make, but my other video that I'm working on is taking quite a while, and I don't really have any plans. So this is kind of just to help fill in the void while I work on the actual video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had fun making this tier list, and I hope to expand it later. So whatever. I will see you guys later when the actual video comes out. So thank you guys. You guys have a nice day.